fucking metal show. Welcome to Big Beats fucking metal show.
Yo, what's up and welcome back to Big Pete's Metal Show! Yup, and we're back with another album review finally, and it's a fucking good one today. Album reviews are the backbone of the channel. Not the channel, the show rather. And it seems like it's been a while since we've done one, but what a fantastic way to return to cover Judas Priest's brand new 19th studio album, Firepower. And I have nothing but good things to say about this, so let's start this circle jerk, shall we? Alright, this fucking album, I'm going to come right out and say it, the ranking I give this album is 95 out of 100. I couldn't have expected a better album from Judas Priest at this point in their careers. It's been almost 50 years since they first started, and here we are with fucking phenomenal metal. You wouldn't think, you know, the Nostradamuses and the Angel of Retributions, which the Angel of Retribution is not a bad album, but, you know, they weren't up to par with, you know, Judas Priest's previous material. However, this album right here is as good as Painkiller, in my opinion. Maybe a little bit less. If Painkiller is a perfect 100, this is a 95. And this definitely blows a lot of the 80s stuff out of the water for me. And this is coming off of 4 years ago, their album Redeemer of Souls, and I thought that was a fantastic comeback after the, you know, shoddy Nostradamus album. But they managed to outdo themselves. Redeemer of Souls is a good album. I would rank that 80 out of 100, but this definitely fucking takes things up. And let's start to get into this a little bit. We open up with track 1 and 2, Firepower and Lightning Strikes, which I'm sure we've heard. Those are the first couple of singles to come off of the album before its release, and those are just phenomenal tracks. You got the classic Judas Priest motifs, like intros with the guitars before the drums and everything else kicks in. And Rob Halford, let me tell you something, throughout this whole album does a fucking amazing job at his vocals. He is 66 years old, but he can still hit the high notes like he's fucking 22. It's ridiculous. Never ceases to amaze me. Track 3, Evil Never Dies, one of my favorites on the album. And once again, those high notes Rob can hit insane. And it's a pretty heavy song. It starts out, and then it goes into a more mellowed pre-chorus, which I love. And it goes right into the chorus, which is very heavy. And I just love the way that this song comes together and everything about it, and the breakdown, and every single solo played on this album is fantastic. And moving on to track 4, Never the Heroes, which is a little bit of a slower from the previous 3 tracks that we just listened to, and it's got a fantastic catchy chorus. I love all the work that's being done here. And number 5, Necromancer. It's an amazing song, one of the heavier ones on the album too. And like, I'll be repeating myself a lot if I go through this whole thing, which I'm gonna try to sum it up really quick. It's just amazing work. I'm blown away, and I've spent the last week. I could have had this album review out last week, but I've spent the last week listening to this album. I must have gone through it 7-8 times in the car and on my stereo, and it's just, you know, it's fantastic. I can't say much anything bad about it. And another one of my favorite tracks, track 6, Children of the Sun. It slows down to a more like not slower like the one we previously talked about, Never the Heroes. This is slower and like groovier and heavier. The way the melodies with the guitar and Rob's vocals during the chorus just coincide beautifully. And it reminds me a little bit of like Down type of southern metal. Down being, you know, Phil Anselmo's band. It's just an amazing track. And then we start the second half of the album, which coming in at track 7. 7 and 8 are basically like the same track. Track 7 is a minute-long Guardians. It's a minute-long intro to track 8. And track 8, which is Rising from Ruins, it starts with a piano, and it gets a little bit of cellos, and the guitar comes in, and it goes right into Rise from the Ruins, and it's an amazing, starts out ballady, and it just gets epic, and it's a fucking phenomenal piece of work. And you know, the album just continues with amazing tracks. The two more standout tracks, which I'll talk about. Track 10, Spectre. It's another one of those mid-paced songs that they did, but the harmonies with the guitar and the vocals are just absolutely out of this world, heavenly and heavy. And that track amazes me. And you know, there's nothing but good tracks after that. And coming in the closing track, which is Sea of Red, that almost feels like it's Judas Priest sending off. It starts out slow, and it gets heavier and heavier. It's one of those epics, and it kind of reminds me of Diary of a Madman. Of course, that being the title track, closing track to Ozzy's second album, and it's just an amazing piece of work. And basically, to sum up, my favorite tracks are Evil Never Dies, Necromancer, Children of the Sun, Rise from Ruins, and Spectre. But I love every single track on this album. I love it to death. And this is just you know, I'm repeating myself here, but I never would have thought Judas Priest at this age, at this point in time, can come out with an album that good. So I encourage everyone to buy this album and listen to it until your ears bleed. So yep, that'll conclude my review. 95 out of 100 to recap. Excellent album. It's shaping up to be album of the year. If nothing else can surpass this, Judas Priest might take the #1 spot. Well, that's the end of my review. Keep it metal and stay brutal.